I've just spent the last few hours searching for the best deals on photo and video equipment for the Prime Big Deal Day, and I found APS-C lenses from $50, full frame autofocus lenses from $150. I've got a top quality travel tripod for only $51. This is a tripod that's going to last you the rest of your life, as well as some incredible deals on camera bodies, SD cards, and solid state drives. I'll put links to all the deals I found in the description down below. Some of these deals will sell out, so be sure to check out the link before you get too excited. I've also linked any dedicated videos I've made on the products, so check those links to make sure it's in stock, and then if you want some more information, you can go on and watch the dedicated video. I chapter marked all the sections below so you can skip around and just find what you need. Now I'm going to start with the APS-C lenses, and we're going to look at the TT Artisan 25mm f2 lens first. This is one of my favorite walk around, do everything, travel and street lenses. It comes in most of the mounts as well: Sony, Fuji, Micro Four Thirds, Canon, Nikon. And one of the things I really like about it is it gives your images a bit of a vibe. It's a little bit softer at the corners. It's got a bit of a sharp center. And from $51, if you just want something that's fun and novel, it's also a manual focus lens. So if you haven't used manual focus lenses before, I prefer to shoot manual focus lenses. This is a great way to get started, and it's just going to give your images a great vibe or look to them. Plus, you get to have that sort of nostalgic manual focus experience. If you're an APS-C shooter on a budget and you don't own this lens already, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. The next one is the TT Artisan 35mm f1.4 tilt lens. Now, this is another manual focus lens. It comes in all the mounts, and this is such a fun and interesting lens to use. And pretty much everybody that has taken my advice and bought this lens has come back and said, thank you. It is just a totally different way to see your photography. I've got a dedicated video to that in the description down below, so go check that out because it is a unique shooting experience that you really need a whole video to help you understand it. It's just a really fun lens to use and adds a lot of creativity to your photography. Now, if you are an APS-C shooter and you've been thinking about upgrading to full frame and you're not sure if you should go up or not, maybe you're a Fuji shooter, have a look at the Viltrox 56mm f1.2 Pro. This gives you a look which is very similar to an 85mm, sort of 1.4, 1.8 out of full frame. And this is an absolutely phenomenal lens for the money. Right now, there is a fairly significant sale on it, which makes it a great deal. But what I think really makes these 1.2 series lenses so good from Viltrox is I truly believe for a lot of people, this is going to get you an image that looks so much like a full frame camera or a camera with a full frame sensor that you really don't have to upgrade. And they've got 3 of those Pro lenses on sale. I've got some more coming in the video. And yeah, just have a look at the sample images. I've also done a dedicated video on that one. That is an awesome lens. The other one that goes along with that one is the Viltrox Pro 27mm f1.2. This is going to get you a 40mm full frame field of view equivalent. And this is just a walk around, do anything, event, travel. It's going to be incredible in low light. It's going to make that low light performance on your crop sensor camera more like a full frame camera, deeply out of focus areas. And really, it's probably one of my favorite lenses of all time. I just absolutely love the images I get out of it. And that 27mm focal length is super versatile. You can use it for so many different things. And the nice thing about that lens, it is a bit of a wider lens, but because you can get a deeply out of focus area, it gives you a lot of image composition options. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with that one. Now, if that Pro Series f1.2 by Viltrox is a little bit too expensive for you, there is the Viltrox 56mm f1.7 lens. This is an affordable lens already, and now it's on sale. This is an excellent lens, 85mm full frame field of view equivalent. Not the optical perfection of the Pro lens, but it is very, very good, particularly for the money and particularly because it is on sale right now. I should say that the minimum sale I've seen on any of the stuff I'm talking about is like a 20% discount, and some of it is significantly more. Now, the next one is the Viltrox 13mm f1.4, and this lens made me fall in love with this 13mm focal length on APS-C or 20mm full frame field of view equivalent. And this is one of my favorite focal lengths of all time, strictly because of this lens. I took this lens on holiday one time, and I took so many shots with it, and by the end of it, I felt like I had really mastered this field of view or this focal length. and this lens was a big part of that, and this is still one of my very favorite lenses. What I will say is if you're starting out, you're a new photographer, it is harder to compose wide images than more cropped in images. So if you're not quite happy with the images you're getting, I would start with that 27 or 56 Pro. But if you want to try something more creative and you want to lean into wide angle, that's where I'd look at that Viltrox 13mm. Now, if you don't have the budget for the Viltrox, TT Artisan makes an ultra wide lens as well. It is a 10mm f2. And that one currently on sale is only a little bit over $100. That is an absolute bargain. And this is going to get you this crazy wraparound image or this wraparound field of view that makes you feel like you are part of the environment. You are sucked into the environment. And I often hear people say that a 50mm lens is what the human eye can see and gives you the most natural framing or field of view. And I find that is absolutely not true. Ultra wide lenses are what make you feel like you are in the environment. And if you look at what I can see right now, I can see all the way over here and I can see all the way over here. That is an ultra wide field of view. And if you take a photo or video and it's just not doing it justice, you probably need a wider lens. And the 10mm is definitely going to do that for you. That Viltrox 13mm is also going to do that for you. But in addition to that, Viltrox has just released an even wider lens in both of those, which is a 9mm f2.8. Keep in mind, this lens is not going to allow quite as much light in because it's f2.8, but it is an autofocus lens, which is a huge advantage to a lot of people. This is also going to be an excellent vlogging lens. Autofocus lens available currently on Sony and Nikon. The next one is the Viltrox 35mm f1.7 that's on sale. That's an autofocus lens available on Sony, Fuji, and Nikon. That's about a 50mm full frame field of view equivalent. So standard portrait, product photography, just everyday photography. The nice thing about those Viltrox lenses, and they're normally cheap, but they're really cheap now that they're on sale. In addition to that, they're very, very lightweight. So they are excellent travel options. And I love to just take an APS-C camera and a handful of these Viltrox Air series lenses, they call them, these f1.7s, and bring them along. And really, it is just a super nice travel setup. The next one is a TT Artisan 27mm f2.8. That's going to be available on Sony and Fuji. I think it's a little over $100 right now on sale. The advantage of this lens is how small and compact and lightweight it is. That makes it an excellent travel lens. Also, it makes it very inconspicuous for street photography. And generally in street photography, we're not shooting at f2 or f1.4 anyway. So that TT Artisan 27mm f2.8, I'm normally shooting that at f5.6 for street photography, and it is an excellent option for that, super inconspicuous. The next one is the TT Artisan 50mm f1.2. Now, I think this is a little over $100 right now. It's a manual focus lens, and you're going to get it on all the mounts, the Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, pretty much everything. I'll put the link in the description down below. I've covered this one in a few different videos, and when you're trying to get the most low light for your money, you are not going to do better than this because it's got an f1.2 aperture and it's only a little over $100. You get this kind of mix between a vintage lens and a modern lens as far as the image quality goes. And sometimes you can get some crazy flares, which I think actually look quite interesting. But it is a super fun lens and a really inexpensive one as well. The next lens is only a little over $60 right now, and that is the TT Artisan 35mm f1.4. This is another manual focus lens. It's available on pretty much every lens mount: Sony, Fuji, Nikon, Canon RF, L mount, Micro Four Thirds. You name it, you can get this lens on it, and it is a super fun, cheap manual focus lens, 50mm full frame field of view equivalent. Another good travel street one. It's super small as well. Now, TT Artisan also make a 23mm f1.8 autofocus lens that's currently only available on Sony and Fuji, but this is a really high quality autofocus lens, and right now it's just a little over $100. So if you're somebody who wants an inexpensive do-it-all, all-purpose prime lens, good in low light, and you're afraid of manual focus, but you want that price to be very, very low, it is hard to beat these f1.8 series by TT Artisan, and the 23mm f1.8 autofocus lens is a no-brainer. Now, Viltrox makes their own version of that lens. They make a 25mm f1.7. Now, comparing the two, and I covered it in a video, actually I've got a comparison video I will link below. The Viltrox is a little bit sharper and it's a little bit more clinical. The TT Artisan's a little bit softer at the edges. I actually prefer the 25mm focal length out of the Viltrox more. I like that little bit more cropped in, but this is all going to be personal preference. The TT Artisan has a little bit better build quality, so I don't know, you can go back and forth between the two, but I do have a dedicated video where you can see side-by-side pictures to help you make up your own mind. TT Artisan also makes a 35mm f1.8 in that series. That's going to give you a 50mm full frame field of view equivalent, just cropped in a little bit more. And I think that one's also just a little over $100 right now. Now, if you want something totally different, these next two, they're both 35mm focal lengths, but this is something almost from another planet. The TT Artisan 35mm f0.95 is on sale. This is going to get you this crazy blurry background. It is a super sharp lens, and it gives you this incredible bubble bokeh background blur. Now, this is going to be a love it or hate it thing. Some people absolutely love the way it looks. Some people hate the way it looks. Totally personal preference, but it's going to get you these crazy, deeply out of focus areas that you generally can't even get on a full frame camera, let alone an APS-C sensor camera. Now, if you like the idea of that f0.95, but you don't like the style of the background blur, there is the Bright & Star 35mm f0.95, which is also on sale right now. And the difference between the two, I think the TT Artisan is just a touch sharper in the in-focus areas, particularly in the center of frame. The Bright & Star is still sharp, just a little bit softer, but it has a much more I would say smooth and generally pleasing out of focus area. Totally personal preference, but if you want a smooth out of focus area, the Bright & Star. If you want something that is like a bubble bokeh look, then the TT Artisan. The other thing about both those lenses, they're both manual focus lenses and available on a wide range of mounts. The Viltrox 75mm f1.2, this is another one of these Pro Series lenses. It's going to make your APS-C camera perform very similar to a full-frame camera. That is currently on sale. That is going to be this crazy headshot, deeply out of focus, subject isolation type lens. And yeah, it's a really good one. Not as versatile as the others, but in exchange, you get a very dramatic image. The Viltrox 15mm f1.7 is also on sale. This is a great all-purpose walk-around wide-angle lens, and it's somewhere, I think it's under $200 somewhere. Now, jumping into the full-frame lenses, we've got the Viltrox 50mm f2 Air. This is a super cool, lightweight, nifty 50 lens. It's currently 20% off. It's a great bargain to start with. I take that lens everywhere, and it's the main nifty 50 that I carry around with me. In that same series, they have the 14mm f4, which is an ultra-wide lens. That's also 20% off. I just did a video on that. That is a phenomenal lens for the money. And if you look at how sharp and how wide that lens is, there has never been a lens like it for the price. It is unbeatable. Ultra-wide, ultra-sharp for the price. There's never been anything like it. Now, if you want something that is a bit more pro and gives you a lot more low light performance, there is the Viltrox 16mm f1.8. Not quite as wide, and it is a much bigger lens, but this is 100% a pro quality lens. That's going to be available on Sony and Nikon, and it's currently $120 off. And 16mm is a little bit easier to compose with than 14mm. 14mm is getting absolutely crazy wide, and that'll be great for low light with that f1.8. Now, Viltrox also make a 35mm f1.2 lab. Viltrox top-of-the-lines lenses, or their best lenses, they call the lab series. Currently only available on Sony. It is to come on Nikon. It's currently $200 off. And this is genuinely one of the best lenses I've ever tested, and it's kind of made me fall in love with the 35mm focal length again. And in my personal opinion, this lens is as close to perfection of any lens I've ever tested. No chromatic aberration, beautifully smooth out of focus areas, autofocus works really well. It's a lens that I really can find no fault with and gives you massive, massive wow factor when you use it for your photos. Now, Viltrox has just released an 85mm f1.4 Pro. Now, this is just below the Lab series. It's probably the most affordable, high-quality 85mm lens out there, and it's a big upgrade from their old f1.8. I don't know if it's only available on Sony or not, but it's on sale. I'll put the links in the description down below. Viltrox also make a 40mm f2.5 lens. This is a great do-it-all street travel lens. It's reasonably inexpensive and it is super lightweight, similar to those other Air series lenses. Now, if you want something that gives you incredible wow factor, isn't super versatile, but in exchange you get these crazy otherworldly images, Viltrox makes a 135mm f1.8, currently available on Sony and Nikon. There is a huge discount on that. And yeah, some of the images I've got out of that lens are some of my favorite all time. You can use it headshots, portrait, people, food, street, almost anything you take a photo with that lens looks amazing. And I think if you're somebody who just wants to take a photo that your friends go, wow, that's incredible, just get that lens, because every photo you take with it, it just looks incredible. Now, here's something that's totally different. This is the TT Artisan 35mm t2.1 dual bokeh cine lens. This allows you to change the style of the bokeh or background blur from smooth to bubble bokeh. I think those are the two different settings. And it's just like a little lever that slides up and down. And yeah, it's a super fun, interesting lens. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly, I still don't know who that lens is for, but it's currently on sale. And if you're somebody who's like, oh, I've always wondered or wished I could actually change the quality of my bokeh, I don't know of any of the lenses that can actually do that. TT Artisan also recently released a 40mm, I think it's an I can't remember, F what? F2.5? Hold on. $40mm f2. Viltrox just released this 40mm f2. The lens is sharp in the center, but it has a real vibe or a real look to it. And unlike the manual focus lenses do it, this is an autofocus lens. And it's currently available on, what lens is it available on? Sony, Nikon, oh, and L-mount. It is on L-mount now. I saw people reviewing it on L-mount, but I'm not sure if that's on sale. So just check the link in the description. TT Artisan also make a 75mm f2 that's available on Sony, Nikon, Fuji, and L-mount now. That's an autofocus lens. This is the autofocus lens that only costs $150, and it was about $200. And even when it was $200, I said it was like the bargain lens of the year or something like that. I can't remember if that was, I think it must have been last year. Anyways, phenomenal lens for the money. Great for like portraits, headshots, and it's kind of a cool middle ground between what a 50mm lens and an 85mm lens does. And I kind of prefer 75mm in general over 85. It's just a little bit more versatile. Now, TT Artisan also make a 100mm f2.8 full frame bubble bokeh lens. This is a lens that gives you total otherworldly images, and it is a super fun lens to use, and it comes in M42 screw mount, which they did intentionally because you can buy a screw mount adapter for any mirrorless camera, and it's really easy to adapt it to whatever brand you've got. I love it because I'm able to take that lens and use it on all my different cameras or all my different lens mounts just by having a cheap adapter to do that. So I'll put a link to the lens, but I'll also put a link to the lens adapter as well. As part of that same series, they also make a 250mm f5.6 reflex lens, which is a super cool, small ultra telephoto lens, and it uses mirrors in the lens to bounce the image back and forth and then eventually into the lens. It gives you some really interesting image character. It gives you donut bokeh or out of focus areas that look super interesting. But what I really like about it is it's like having an ultra telephoto lens in a small package. So it is super, super stealth. So you can go around, do sports photography, street photography, all kinds of just windows into the world around you where you would normally have to have this big telephoto lens, and you just have this tiny little thing on your camera, and nobody would imagine that you're using a telephoto lens. As part of that same series, in that M42 screw mount series, there is the 75mm f1.5 swirly bokeh lens. It's also on sale. This is a remake, kind of a remake of a vintage lens that was known as the king of swirly bokeh or something to that effect. And this lens was reselling on eBay for $800 to $1,000. And Seven Artisans just saw an opportunity, and they basically have made a lens that is very similar optically and you can get it for, you know, a fraction of that price, and even cheaper right now because it's on sale. The other one that's on sale is 7 Artisans Autofocus 50mm f1.8. That's currently available on Sony, Nikon, and L-mount, and that is $180 or something like that. Now, there are also some filters on sale, variable ND filters that I recommend quite often. There's the Neewer 1:5 True Color, which is currently on sale, one of the best bargain variable ND filters out there. And there's the JJC 1:10 True Color, once again, one of the best bargain ND filters out there. If you need the 1:10, the True Color JJC is just a really good option. It has a second filter that magnetically sticks to the front that takes you from 1:6 to, or 1:5 to 6:9 or something like that. It's a really elegant solution, and I own that in like 6 or 7 different thread sizes. Neewer also has their 1/4 and 1/8 black diffusion filters on sale. And to me, those are every bit as good as Tiffin or any of the other brands that cost hundreds of dollars. And right now, I think it's like, I don't know, it's like $30 for 2 or $40 for 2. I don't know. It's super cheap. Link will be in the description. Looking at cameras, the Lumix S9 is currently on sale. This is one of my favorite cameras of all time. I use it all the time. This is my dad family cam. This thing gets so much use, and the Lumix Lab app just makes it an absolute joy to use. So I take photos, I take videos, and I can upload them straight to my phone, and then they go onto social media, or they go onto the parents' like wireless picture frames where you just upload the photos over the internet. The Lumix S5 II-X with the kit lens and a 50mm lens, there's that package is currently on sale. It's like $2,000 or a little bit over for this whole kit. And if you want to save a little money, you can get it without the extra lens added in. But I think this setup is so cheap. You literally could go out and be a pro video and photo shooter just with this starting out. I mean, you could probably pay for the kit in the first job you did. Like, that's what kind of good deal it is. The other one, the Canon R50 with the 18-45 kit lens is currently on sale. And the Canon R6 Mark II with the 24-105 kit lens is currently on sale. Now, some tripods. My favorite budget travel tripod of all time is currently on sale. The LT07. That's currently, I think, $55. You will never spend a better $55 on any tripod ever. If you don't have a travel tripod and you're on a budget, just buy that tripod and you're done. You'll be very, very happy. If you're willing to spend a little bit more and you want a smaller, lighter carbon fiber travel tripod, the Neewer Light Trip LT32 is very similar to the Ulanzi that kind of revolutionized this travel tripod market, but it's about half the price. So the Ulanzi was a little bit of a copy of Peak Design at half the price. Now the Neewer is kind of a copy of the Ulanzi at half the price. But to be honest, I have the Ulanzi and the Neewer, and I actually prefer the Neewer. It has a number of functions and features that I think are actually better, and just I think it's ergonomically a better tripod than the Ulanzi. The other one is Neewer has a video tripod on sale right now, the TP37. It's only about $60 or something like that. Like if you're a YouTuber and you just want something on a stand somewhere, this gives you a nice stable base to set up your kit on. Highly recommend it. Looking at microphones, the Boya Magic wireless mic, it's the mini mic system that's like a 3-in-1 design. It's like $71 right now. I've got a dedicated video on that. That is actually phenomenal at the normal price, which is like $129, but like $71 is ridiculous. The DJI Mic Mini is almost half price. It's under $100 for a DJI mic. That is a great mic. It sounds great. It works well. And you can use it with some of the Sony products by using Bluetooth and not even using the receiver, which is one of the advantages of that microphone system. The Boya Mic 2 is also 20% off, and that is kind of like a cheaper alternative to the DJI Mic 2. That works really well, has the internal recording, it has noise canceling features, all that. The other one is the Fifine Ampli Tank 1. This is basically like, hold on. This is basically a $80, $79 SM7B right now. This thing sounds so much like an SM7B, you wouldn't believe it. It's an XLR mic, and right now it's on sale for like $79 or something like that. So if you've always wanted an SM7B, you love the sound of the SM7B, you don't want to spend $400, honestly, just get this. You absolutely will not regret it. In fact, you can fit out a whole podcast studio with these before you've even paid for the cost of one. Now, if you are using USB or you're on an even tighter budget, there is the 5-on Amplitank K688, which I've got here. That can also use USB. The build quality isn't quite as good and the sound quality isn't quite as good, but it is still very good. And that is currently $50. So if you're on a budget and you want to start a podcast and you want to use a USB mic, this one's an absolute no-brainer. My daughter uses that for all of her calls and all of her stuff for film school. A couple essentials here. 2-pack 128 gigabyte V60 SD cards, $51. I have a ton of these. I use them all the time. The SanDisk's 128 gigabyte V90 cards are currently on sale, under $100. Most people are going to be more than good enough with the V60 cards. And if you're not sure which one you need, you're probably fine with the V60 cards. And the Samsung T9 SSD drive, I got a ton of those. I use them for everything. They're bulletproof. They never fail me. And they're like $140, $150 off. So I think if you need some more storage, that's an absolute no-brainer. Now, I will try to keep updating the community posts. Watch the community tab. Anything new comes, I'll put there. And I will also try to update the links in this description with anything new that comes up or somebody lets me know along the way. All right. Happy hunting and enjoy Prime Big Deals Day deals.